Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I bring you founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, musicians, artists all around the world in crypto and blockchain. Today, I have an excellent, amazing guest, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Her name is Amanda Terry. She's the co founder and the chief operating officer at MetaGood. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you, Jamil. So excited to be here today.
Very welcome. So let's kick things off. And the first question is, what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
My background before MetaGood was more Web 2. I worked at Twitter, NBC, for startups in the data analytics and ad space that had all been acquired by Google, AOL, other other well-known names. And I had kind of held different sales and business development leadership positions at those companies. And I also had been personally angel investing since 2018. So kind of looking across a number of kind of pre-seed, seed stage companies. But NFTs for me, my first foray was really buying an NBA Top Shot, and that was when I was looking at Dapper Labs potentially to invest, and wanted to learn more about the ecosystem and how easy or hard it would be to get onboarded using a credit card into the Web3 space, and from that. I also have done a lot of work helping Acti Global, which is a nonprofit, and back in 2018, actually Acti Global did the first NFT for ocean conservation. Our co-founder and chairman, Bill Tai, was looking to invest in Dapper in 2018 and told Roam, I'll invest in Dapper if you create a crypto kitty, but that looks like a turtle cat, and we're going to name it Hanu Kitty, which means turtle cat in Hawaiian, and we're going to auction off at the Necker Blockchain Summit. And the proceeds are going to go to fund Captain Paul Watson and the Sea Shepherd Society to park a boat off the coast of Antigua to protect a turtle nesting area. So that was literally the first NFT for ocean conservation back in 2018, and kind of kicking around in Bill in my head was, okay, but how do you do this at scale? So not just one NFT that raised 50 grand for this one cause, but how do you use NFTs really to change the world for good? And is there a way to marry kind of speculative greed of NFT trading with real world impact? And that's what we've created with MetaGood.
Yeah, I was about to ask you. So I'll get into what MetaGood is first, and then I'll talk about biodiversity a little bit later. But I want to ask you, like, what makes you guys great, and yeah, let us know.
So MetaGood is the company behind On-Chain Monkey. We were founded in May 2021. We're very experienced in Doc's team. So Bill Tai, as I mentioned, my co-founder, has been in crypto since 2010. He literally lent the money to Bitferry to buy the silicon to create their first ASIC mining chip. So he's on the board of HUD 8. He seeded Dapper Labs. He also has been the first investor in Zoom, an early investor in Canva, and now 23 publicly traded companies. So, very well-known venture capitalist and multiple times kind of co-founder of companies. My other co-founder and CEO is Danny Yang, who created the Stanford Bitcoin Meetup in 2013. He's a PhD in computer science from Stanford. And he also created a company called Blockseer, which was used by, was kind of a blockchain analytics platform used by governments, which he sold in 2018. And then he also created MyCoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in Taiwan, which is still operating and private. So he's just, super smart, probably one of the smartest people I've met definitely on a technical perspective, and just wonderful to work with. And I kind of mentioned my background. So that's the team. And I think what really makes us differentiated is that we want to be the most reputable global brand for digital assets. And we've created our own collection on Chain Monkey. It was a free mint, which we was all claimed within 4 hours in September 21. It's a 10,000 profile pic collection. It's the first profile pic collection all on chain in a single Ethereum transaction. So that is historically significant. That means all of the metadata and the images are stored in an SVG file and and done very efficiently. So from an energy perspective, I mean, it's just very difficult. All of them were coded into existence. So I kind of like to use the analogy. I know you said your audience is very crypto savvy, but it's almost like the Lascaux cave paintings in France. As long as the Ethereum blockchain exists, these 10,000 Genesis monkeys will exist. And then we've really built a community around this. We did another drop, which was a desserts drop, and the 20 most rare of those have been selling for 180 to 200 grand. So you can kind of, the corollary of that might be the mutant ape serums. So, our claim, and no one, we've been saying this for a while, no one has ever challenged us on this, is, of free mints, we've probably created the most value of our community, probably second to CryptoPunks, for free mints, because we've dropped, 2 free mints, to our community, which has created a ton of value. And then we did a third public mint of Karma in June. And it's actually a really cool story. There was someone that owned a Genesis monkey, and he's an artist, and he posted his own derivative of his monkey, and he got so many likes on Twitter. People were like, dude, how do I get that? How can you make one for me? That we reached out to him. It turns out he was part of the team that was the Academy Award nominated team behind Ferdinand, Ice Age, and Rio. So serious Hollywood animation talent. And he came on board. He hired his former boss. He hired another colleague, and the 3 of them spent 9 months to create our Karma collection. It's a hand painted collection, beautifully illustrated monkeys, and kind of, it was a different direction, right? So Genesis was very simple because it was all about the technical challenge of like getting a whole profile pic collection all on chain, a single transaction. The Karma collection, the metadata is still on chain, but the images are not on chain because they're very detailed images. And what you can do is you can take your Genesis monkey, you can feed it one of 3 desserts, and then you can get a Karma monkey that is in the likeness, basically using the DNA, i.e. the metadata of the Genesis monkeys, to get your Karma monkey. So that's kind of like a little bit about like what the collections we've launched so far, but we've also done a lot of things using our trading revenues to do real world good. So we helped to fund Sharbat Gula and her family to get out of Afghanistan and into Italy. We created our own OCM Earth, which we sold for 0.1 ETH last January. We raised about 185 grand in 2 weeks. And then we had all of our token holders vote for where it would go. And they decided to Save the Children to basically help support humanitarian aid in Ukraine. So we were really proud in 2022 to be Fast Company's one of 20 world-changing ideas for impact investing in 2022, which is super exciting. But at the end of the day, we've also done, it's all about like creating value for our community. And, we've been talking about just recently on a spaces last week, that the OCM is the ultimate profile pic, and it's your passport to truly a wealthy digital nation of citizens. And when I say wealth, I don't just mean financial, although obviously a lot of people are in NFTs for finance reasons. So yes, we want to create wealth for our community. But wealth can also mean social connections. We've done a ton of IRL events, at almost every NFT conference. We've done a poker tournament where we had our investors, Charlie Lee, Creative Litecoin, Owen Wilson, and Woody Harrelson come on Zoom and play poker with our holders, right? Just like really cool connections. We do everything we can to actually help connect our community so that, they can enrich themselves. Like maybe it's, hey, I need help with a graphic design. Hey, maybe I need help with how to set up this company. And we try to help facilitate, a lot of those connections informally, mostly in our Discord, for our community. And then I'd say also, like, for me, wealth is also health. So it's actually out of our own community. We had some monkeys create a OCM monkey misfit group where they are posting their workouts every day, and they actually send POAPs to each other to kind of keep each other accountable for working out and staying in shape. So when I say, wealthy digital nation, of course it's financial, but there's so many aspects of wealth that I think our collection is bringing to our community in value.
I'm blown away here. I knew all that stuff happened. I didn't realize it was you guys. So
Yeah.
thank you.
what's so cool is so much has been community driven, from the Karma collection coming from a community member to the OCM Monkey Misfits. I mean, so what's also cool is we've created a DAO where a percentage of our trading revenues are now going into this DAO. It's about $3 million to 2,000 ETH, maybe a little bit, plus or minus on the price of ETH, where anyone from our community can submit proposals that they want to get funded. So people have started businesses. There's a company called NFT Canvases where it's kind of token gated. You create your own print of your favorite NFT. That's a business that was created, funded through our DAO. Now they're giving a percentage of revenues back to the OCM DAO, which was very generous of them. But people are creating business opportunities. People are doing really cool artistic endeavors. In our first season of the DAO, we had someone named Sebastian Rosen out of Argentina who created OCM anthems. So I think there's like 6 or 7 anthems that we've been playing in our spaces. He also created AR backgrounds. So you could have like, if you do like a Instagram story or TikTok, you can have a monkey on your face with kind of the bananas, which I'll get into what the significant bananas falling in the background. And, we've just, and then we've done things, again, social impact. So we had like a couple guys out of Brazil for 1 ETH out of our DAO, literally take an unusable space and rehabilitate it into a beautiful skate park in Rio de Janeiro, where if you look from a drone down, it looks like an on-chain monkey logo from the top down. And they've held, a Brazilian rap competition there. It turned out they got a little bit more funding from our small grants committee, and they created on-chain monkey coloring books and brought them to an orphanage for Christmas and did a big Christmas party for some young people in Brazil. So, what I find so inspiring is, yes, creating wealth for our community, but then there are all these other ways that we're empowering our community to create wealth for themselves and to create impact, however they define wealth. Like we're able to enable that.
Great. We'll get into that. I have a question regarding that. First of all, is when you before we started, you said there were some major news announcements, and I just wanted to go through that with you and see what was that? What were those announcements?
Yeah, I mean, well, let me start, for anyone who is not in On-Chain Monkey and doesn't follow us, everything on Twitter, definitely subscribe to our newsletter because, I know it can be very time consuming to be in Discord and Twitter, but that is really where most of our communications happen. We also have a Substack newsletter that you can kind of keep up to date with what's happening. Probably one of our biggest news is that we are going to be doing a drop in partnership with Alexis Andre, who was the artist who did the Art Blocks Friendship Bracelets collection, which was at one point, #1 trading on OpenSea. He's going to be working with us to create a collection that is based off, again, the metadata or DNA of our on-chain monkeys, and that will be dropped that will be available for mint for our holders who have a full set. So full set is kind of a Genesis monkey plus any Karma 1 or Karma 2 monkey. So that's one thing that will be coming this quarter, which is something, very exciting that we're really excited about. We also announced last week, we were just selected by South by Southwest. As you know, that's like one of the big tech festivals in the US, as one of 5 finalists to be in a pitch competition for their Web3 metaverse competition. So that's, a huge global competition, again, selected as one of 5 companies to present. So we're very excited about that. And then right before we were getting online here, I just want to pull up the right information. I got some exciting news that we basically were selected. On-Chain Monkey, basically our On-Chain Monkey and our DAO were selected as one of 4 nominees for the award for the most exciting project of 2023 in social innovation, awarded by the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, INATBA, which is super exciting. So, I just heard that there'll be a winner announced the 31st of January in Brussels, which I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it to because that's in 6 days. But regardless, it's obviously just another big honor, and it's this is a big industry I think it's like 230 members in this blockchain kind of industry group. And so it's just exciting when we get these type of, recognition across the industry for what we're doing, which is pretty differentiated in terms of NFT collections. I don't hear of many NFT collections that are kind of getting recognized globally and domestically with some of these kind of top trade organizations.
That's awesome. And there's a reason for it, obviously. I know you were at Davos. I always had a dream about going there someday. I haven't ever been, but you were in there
Yeah.
last week, and there's a greater power beyond, just having a collectible, an NFT collectible to NFTs, right? There's social impact, as you talked about earlier. Art in Ukraine. Bananas. I like to get into that. What is the impact of just beyond the JPEG?
I mean, again, I think, we view On-Chain Monkey as your passport, right, into this basically wealthy digital nation, and this digital nation of On-Chain Monkey holders. And, we've done surveys, a couple of them. We're about to do another one, just so we really understand our customer base. But, I think we have about 55% of our holders in the US and 45% rest of world. So we literally have this digital nation of On-Chain Monkey holders who are aligned around our values, which are, if you go into our Discord, you see people write !RISE, which stands for respect, integrity, sustainability, and experimentation. So, we believe these are our values. So we've got this core group of holders that believe in our values, and truly believe that, one, we can make a difference, and we are making a difference. We're making a difference through our DAO. We're making a difference through the use of our trading revenues in people's lives. So, life-changing stories, and people get dropped, $200,000 worth of NFTs for free for like these, very rare ones that we dropped in the desserts, but also just ability to band together as a group of people and make impact and change in the world. So it's definitely way beyond a JPEG. And what I'm so excited about, like even when I was at Davos, if there are people that wear this rainbow pin, which it's a circle. It usually stands for the UN SDG goals, sustainable development goals. But I feel like our On-Chain Monkey could actually be the next version of that, right? This is, I would love in 2 years if everyone is wearing On-Chain Monkey logo pins. And what that means is that you stand for, doing well, like wealth creation for your own self and for your community and enriching yourself, but also that you believe that Web3 can do real world good. And you kind of think beyond yourself. Once you've, kind of created your own Maslow hierarchy and you've taken care of your needs, you got roof, you got food, you got, you're comfortable in your own self, then you're able to think about like, well, how do I make change? How can I impact change? And that, On-Chain Monkey is the way to, do that through our community, through our digital collection, through our community of people that live globally and subscribe to the same values.
Rise. I like it. I like it a lot. So what are you saying? Like, what were the things at Davos that would apply to what you're doing now, and how can you help further?
Sure. So this was originally I was going to the crypto finance conference, which is in St. Moritz, which is, application only. I think, it's like, I don't know, less than a 10% acceptance rate to even go to this. And it's a lot of family offices and investors that are very interested in crypto assets. Like, so that could mean fungible tokens. It's also non-fungible tokens. So Bill and I were there for 2 reasons. One is, to meet investors, and also, there are NFT collectors there. So kind of meeting, some people that could also come into our community and kind of buy at scale are kind of 2 of the reasons. Bill also spoke on a panel. When we first started the company, 3 weeks into starting it, we auctioned off one of our Genesis monkeys, and it sold for 12.5 ETH. And it was Charlie Lee and Roam from Dapper who bid it up. Roam ended up winning, and we donated those proceeds to a UNICEF project called the Gig Connect project, which is bringing internet to schools globally. And so that project had been discussed last year. We actually helped them. We advised them on a collection that's raised called Patrick Kingdoms, raised over $700,000 for UNICEF to bring to both map connectivity and help bring connectivity to schools globally. So part of it was like kind of updating everyone at the CFC about that. And then it's also meeting, a ton of our MetaGood investors were there as well. So it's kind of catching up with them. And so that was that. And then I decided to stay on my own dime, in Davos, because I was invited by Sophia Swire, who is a woman that runs a nonprofit called Future Brilliance, which was the nonprofit we partnered with to get Sharbat Gula and her family out of Afghanistan. So we used some of our training revenues and basically funded that mission. And she reached out, she saw that, and she's like, hey, do you want to come stay? We have a house and would love to spend some more time with you. So that was part of the reason, I ended up staying longer. And I was invited to speak on a panel, which was all about DAOs. And so their focus was a bit more on ESGs, which is, environmental, social, and governmental goals, which is not our focus per se. But what I was really talking about is, the power of the on-chain monkey DAO, which is empowering our community to start businesses, to pursue creative endeavors and make real world impact. And so I kind of gave examples of that and how powerful it is for a DAO, because most people, it's very new still, right? In our world, people know, okay, DAO is this decentralized autonomous organization. But in the reality, when you look under the hood, a lot of DAOs are actually still quite centralized, and we are really making an effort to decentralize. So, we are very fortunate to work with the Nouns DAO infrastructure, and for all proposals that are going through, we have all of our token holders vote right on these proposals. So it literally is, if you have 100 monkeys, you have 100 votes. If you have one monkey, you have one vote. But it is a democracy in that sense of how the funds are being used. We've only done one season. In the first season, we had 17 people apply to be on our small grants committee, where they literally all wrote candidate statements and spent about 3 hours on a Spaces talking about why they want to be part of small grants committee. And we had 4 people on that committee and 1 MetaGood representative. I'm proud to say we hired our first OCM DAO coordinator from the DAO. So it's the first, it's basically a contractor to On-Chain Monkey DAO, not an employee of MetaGood, who is now going to be, taking on the function of what was taking probably 5 people in MetaGood's part-time time, kind of managing it. And he's going to be helping to interface, which he's done already a great job, interface with our community, help keep the DAO running smoothly in terms of reminding people of, when proposals are due, when voting is due, answering questions, helping people like get their DAO proposals together. If someone hasn't done one before, we'll have spaces so we can help answer questions. It's really exciting to see, like, okay, so now we have a DAO coordinator hired through the DAO. And again, we will have our next season where we will be voting, again, our holders will be voting for how the funds are being used. And then we'll have a new election of the small grants committee, where, this is for anything under 5 ETH that can be kind of smaller grants that can be done retroactively, or, if something doesn't pass kind of the larger prop house. But we still think it's something important. The small grants committee can decide, in small amounts to give some funding to certain things that we think are important.
Sounds amazing. I think it sounds amazing. Yeah, really, really awesome. So, you built you're empowering communities. It says your logo here, empowering communities to be, catalysts to positive collective action. One way you said you do that is through a DAO. How else can we do that, and build that vibrant community at the same time?
Sorry, ask that one more time.
And
how do you
how can we do
vibrant?
that? And build that vibrant community at the same time. You're making that the communities to be that catalyst. How do you build that influence?
Yeah, I think it starts with having these values that people like, yes, people in NFTs typically are in it for investment purposes. So number one, we always want to be creating wealth for our community. That's our number one every day. That's what we think about when we're on calls as a team, is like, okay, how do we create wealth for the community. But I think also having this broader mission of, and value system makes a real difference, right? And I think sometimes when you talk to our holders, some of them are trading a lot, but some of them are just like, I want to support this because I believe in what On-Chain Monkey is doing. And so I think that there's kind of a bigger calling beyond just the financial aspects of NFTs that make for like a very sticky, authentic community where it's pretty incredible. So I'm very proud of what we've built and honored to get to work alongside so many of our community members that are doing so much incredible work across the community. I mean, we've had I'll just give another example. In Australia, we've had somebody that helps us with some graphic works. His name is Heavy D. He also designed so Bill and I both like the a kiteboard with a karma monkey on the bottom. And that's going to be, he wants to auction it for charity to support Red Kite, which is the leading childhood cancer services charity in Australia. So that's just something, that was also DAO funded, but it's a really cool branding of kind of On-Chain Monkey and Karma that he created, and he did that on his own, and that's going to go towards something, obviously doing something good in the world as well. So, we've kind of like inspired people globally to think about what are my skills, what's my superpower, and how can I contribute, in partnership with On-Chain Monkey to, create wealth for our community and also do good.
Discovering your superpower. That's awesome. A year ago, I interviewed. I don't hear a lot of projects or companies talking about the good work they've done in Afghanistan or somewhere else. But a year ago, I interviewed Farishta Farrow, founder of Code to Inspire. And she about helping young girls code in Afghanistan, and then you worked on a project in Afghanistan, and I wanted to find out what you guys have learned from that experience. And how that benefits you.
I mean, what happened in the Afghanistan situation is, Sharbat Gula, who was the cover of the Nat Geo magazine, Afghan girl, right? The photographer, Steve McCurry, knew one of our advisors, Luis Sohoyos, he's an Oscar-winning director behind the movies The Cove, Racing Extinction, and Game Changers. And Steve McCurry reached out to Louis and said, I guess he kept in touch with Sharbat Gula throughout all these years after putting it on the cover of Nat Geo, and said, look, like the Taliban are entering Afghanistan and she is considered a Western icon, and she feels like she and her family's lives are in danger. There's this nonprofit that have gotten over 300 Afghan women and children out of Afghanistan last year, but they don't have the funding, right now to move to get her airlifted and visaed out. And, they came to MetaGood. And at that time, the executive team decided, okay, let's donate some of our train revenues to help make this happen. And this was worldwide news. I mean, this not that we were behind the funding of it, but just like the Italian government, spoke about it and how they got safely extradited or sorry, I should say evacuated. That was on the cover of New York Times, Washington Post, all these, big publications. And yeah, we were kind of like the partners behind that in terms of the funding to make that happen. And then of course, it all comes around full circle when Sophia's like, oh, come join me in my house in Davos for a couple of days and speak on some panels. And, again, it's kind of like this karma of paying it forward, and it all comes around in the end, I believe.
Yeah, I agree too. I want to go back to something you said earlier. One last question before. Well, I have two questions, but you said you're marrying you're marrying greed versus real world positive impact, right? How can we all begin to do that?
Well, I think what I meant is when you look at NFTs, it is a speculative market, and there's some greed in that, right? Like people want to see, buy low, sell high. How do you marry that trading mentality and speculative greed, where because it's a digital asset, there's a percentage of that NFT that can, come back to an organization or the creator, right? So in the case of On-Chain Monkey, comes back to MetaGood. And and can you use, some portion of those trading revenues to do real world good, right? So, how can, from our trading revenues, we've and from our public mint, I mean, we've created over, I think we have 4,600 ETH or something between, trading revenues and the public mint. So, that's a sizable chunk of money that, we use mostly just for operating MetaGood, right? For our day-to-day operations and our employees, our IRL events, all the expenses that we have. But, we can put a small bit, and it's not like we have to say, okay, 5% or some percentage, but, from time to time, when we think that there's impact we can make, be it in Ukraine or, last year at Miami Art Basel, we were asked by Sean Penn's 501c3 core response to just help them mint one NFT because, they'd never sold an NFT at this charity auction. So, we went, we were already there. We were doing kind of a holder gathering in Miami, and we went to their event, and we minted a photograph that sold for $200,000. And those proceeds went to COVID relief in Latin America. So that did not take a ton of our team's time, but made a big impact for that organization. So, from time to time, we can do these things. And what is, really exciting is less it's about Danny, Bill, or me deciding, okay, this is an organization that we want to support or not. But what we really want this to be coming from is the DAO, right? So we want our community to say, okay, here's a project I'm working on. And in the case of like the Brazilian skate park, that was not a nonprofit, but that could have been, a nonprofit that had formed to maybe revitalize skate parks across Brazil. Now, granted, these are just a couple guys that went and did it out of their own, like interests and ability. But more and more things can be funded that are coming through the DAO, and so it's not us making decisions; it's decentralizing to our holders to decide how those funds will be used, and what type of things we want to support. And this year at Metaverse Miami, we supported a beach cleanup on Miami Beach. So we donated a couple of our Karma NFTs, which they gave out to the people who attended that event. I think it was like 100 something people. And that was done through our DAO, right? Like our community vote. Okay, let's support this Metaverse Miami beach cleanup effort. And as we go forward in the season, a lot of our community events will on a go forward basis kind of be funded through the DAO. So it's the community deciding, yes, okay, at NFT NYC, we want to do something, like let's put community funds towards that.
This way you're empowering the community members to make powerful decisions. Right.
Right. And they could decide, oh, it's there's not enough people that are going to NFT NYC, which I doubt, because that's like one of the biggest NFT conferences. But probably they'll say, yeah, let's do something cool and let's like pass this. But it's we'll see how it goes. Like we're going to put a proposal in, and if our holders say, yeah, let's do it, then we do it. And so it's again kind of decentralizing the decision from just the MetaGood team to the community, ultimately deciding how are we going to use these funds.
Awesome. So I thank you very much for your time today. This has been a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed learning all about your company and your project. This is like blows my mind. So that's why I do this podcast, so I can learn more and grow. I have one final question, and it's this: how can people find out more information about you, about MetaGood, about your on-chain monkeys? How can they do any of that?
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned, we're really active in Discord. So On-Chain Monkey Discord, Twitter is On-Chain Monkey, ONCHAIN, Monkey MONKEY. If you want to be learning more about what our DAO is doing, you can go to, and this is like a relatively new address. So hold on, let me just pull it up to make sure that we're actually trying to get more followers to this. But you could be following OCM DAO, DAO, so OCM DAO, if you want to be following kind of like what's happening on the DAO front. And yeah, I think those are the, Twitter, Discord, our website, onchainmonkey.com, has a ton of information about all of this, information about our DAO. We didn't even get into bananas, but, we talked about how our fungible token, which is currently off-chain bananas, is actually, you can earn them if you're an on-chain monkey holder. You connect your wallet. If you're active in our Discord and Twitter, you earn these bananas, which, people are excited that that could potentially come on chain someday, so as a fungible token. So we have information on that. You can see all of our collections. It's actually probably the best place if you're shopping for an on-chain monkey is to go to the on-chain monkey website, look at the collections. You can kind of see where they're available, you know, OpenSea, Nifty Gateway, etc. You can learn more about the traits. And that's like kind of a font of information. We also have a wiki, which also has like has a ton of information about everything from, you know, what are bananas, what are they used for, to, you know, all sorts of information and kind of lore of things we've done in the on-chain monkey monkeyverse. So I say, you know, check out the wiki as well. And obviously you can follow Danny, myself, I'm at Amanda Terry, or Bill, which is at KiteBC. And Danny is Danny upside down. So some people are like, what is Danny's Twitter? But I will give it to you right now. It's HUUEP, HUUEP, and that is Danny upside down, because that's his name. Danny Yang. So
Wow. Nice.
a little
Nice. I never heard of that.
Yeah, people always wonder, they're like, why did he call him that? It's like, oh, it's his first name upside down. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Jamil. Appreciate it.